lot of hype going around Ole Miss. Of course, this is a big game, but we're also thinking about Georgia coming up. Do you think that they could win out this year?
It's a really good football team. In this league, it's just so hard to know. Uh, the way they beat each other up, we were just having a conversation about this sort of in preparation and anticipation of the 12-team playoff next year, with how many SEC teams are going to have a real excellent opportunity to qualify for the playoff with the expansion. But they're going to beat the hell out of each other to get there. And you think about how physical this game's going to be on Saturday here in Oxford, and it is. Texas A&M's defensive front is elite. They just have so many great athletes and such great depth. And so it's going to be a very physical game. I really like what Ole Miss is doing on both sides of the ball. I know they're still sort of figuring it out a little bit defensively. Offensively, very good. Elite quarterback play. Some of the best running backs in the conference. And so I think this is going to be a really good game. Next week at Georgia is going to be, especially if Ole Miss prevails on Saturday, that one's going to have all kinds of juice.
And you brought up quarterbacks. How do you feel about Jackson Dart so far? Has he exceeded expectations? Is he underrated? What do you think?
I love the kid. I came down here about a month ago and did a feature on him and spent some time with him. First of all, I didn't realize how big he was until I sat down with him and saw his lower half is like, he's a massive guy. And he's extremely personable. I really enjoyed my time with him. Has tremendous acumen for the game. He can beat you in every way possible. And that's, and the fact that he came here because of Lane, the fact that he came here as a kid from out west who saw Matt Corral come here and do extremely well and integrate into the system and build this amazing relationship with the head coach that was relatable on a personal level. And that's one thing Lane is very good at. He's quirky, he's different, but he has an amazing way to meet his quarterbacks where they are. And that's why Jackson came here, and it's showing. Elite runner, both design quarterback runs and when the pocket breaks down, and he can spin it. So I really like that young man, and I think he's a tremendous player.
What are your overall thoughts coming to Oxford, coming to the Grove, and having an opportunity to have a big time in the morning?
World class. This is as good as it gets in college football. The atmosphere is elite. The people are so kind. The bourbon's good. We don't stay often. Most Saturdays after our shows are over, we will make our way to the airport as fast as possible and go home and see our families, because our weeks are super saturated with content and shoots and all over the place. I've been in about 6 or 7 cities already this week. And so, but we're staying. It's McGee's birthday, so we're going to stay here and have a good time at the Grove. We expect to see a really good football game and then enjoy everything that happens out here after the game.
Following up on that, what's it like working with Ryan? I mean, you guys, really play well off each other, and there's a lot of content on the SEC Network. What's it like, hanging out with him every day?
Well, the beauty of our opportunity, the blessing's not lost on us. The fact that we've been given an opportunity by ESPN and the SEC Network to really have a show that the center point of the show is our relationship and our friendship. And because we're both national reporters in so many different sports, even though we love to goof off and have a good time, and that's sort of become the brand of the show, Hillbilly Headlines, if there's a big story in sports, one of the two of us or both of us is probably covering it. And so that gives us the opportunity to speak with authority, with great sourcing on a lot of the different stories that are going on throughout sport, not just in the SEC. But when we get the opportunity to come here and be on these campuses and engage with the fans, who are all so nice, and they seem to really enjoy the show, and especially in the Southeast, to have a couple guys that sound like them, that seems to matter. And that definitely matters to me. I'm grateful that I have Southern roots and that we get to have this platform to be proud of that.
One final thing for me, anything special tomorrow you can give away that may be going on?
Well, I'm about to go to etiquette class when we get done here. I don't know exactly what etiquette class entails, but I've only worn a bow tie a couple times, and both of them were in Oxford, Mississippi, so I imagine I'll have one of those on.
This is kind of in thick and things for the college football.
Absolutely.
How realistic do you think it is that they can actually make something happen?
Well, this sort of triangle thing in the SEC West is interesting, right? With with Ole Miss having beaten LSU, if LSU beats Bama on Saturday and Bama beat Ole Miss, it all go, like you think about that, right? All could be one loss, divisional teams. And then, so that game in Tuscaloosa is massive on Saturday in terms of kind of where we go. I think Ole Miss's opportunity as we stand here on a Friday afternoon, it's a little bit outside looking in based on that sort of math, as it were. But look, anything's possible, as I was just saying. I mean, this league, especially the West, is so brutal. I mean, it's so physical. The athletes are all so good. The coaches are all so good that even being relevant is difficult. And so to have an opportunity to be in the conversation to win the division and potentially make the playoff, that is a hell of an accomplishment.
Marty, on looking at the running backs for Ole Miss, what have you seen from Judkins from last year and what Bentley's doing this year?
They're elite. Ole Miss's running backs are elite, and it was interesting to me to start the season. We all expected it to be the Quinshon Judkins show because he was so great last year. Even though people look at Ole Miss and think just they're spinning it around the yard all the time, everything was predicated on the run with him last year in terms of how they attacked defenses offensively. And so then we started this year, and that just wasn't the case. But as the season has progressed on, it's become more and more and more and more Quinshon Judkins, and it should. Because, I mean, he's not just elite in the conference, he's elite nationally. He's a very special athlete. He's going to be a very early round draft pick. I know he's only a sophomore, so he's got time. As long as he stays healthy, man, he's going to have a big-time future, too.
Laura was telling us this game is probably going to end up coming down to the final minutes. How do you kind of envision it going?
I hope so. A&M's an interesting bunch. They have elite talent, tons of depth, but they've been disappointing. You have I think Jimbo Fisher's a really good coach. I know nationally there's all the narratives and all. He's not living up to expectations, and he would tell you that's true. But I think he's great. And what they've done with Bobby Petrino coming in and Jimbo actually letting him call plays, they've been close. And so I expect a great football game. I hope it's a great football game. And those 11 o'clock kickoffs, though, you just never know. I mean, these are 19-year-old young men. They're going to wake up on one side of the bed or the other. And so that early start is always a little bit of kind of throws a little wrench into some things too. But I think it's going to be a really good game.
In terms
Lions 3 right now, right?
Yep.
Something like that, yeah.
In terms of the game tomorrow, the Vaught energy, how do you feel like that will play into it? Is this something that Aggies need to take into consideration?
The energy in Vaught Hemingway absolutely is a tremendous benefit to the Rebels. And it will matter, and it always does matter. Because, again, you're also asking some of the greatest fans in sport to go in early. They're going to have to party after the game. I know they'll be ready. I know they'll be plenty lubed up. But it definitely matters, and especially when you're talking about a scenario where Ole Miss is so good offensively, and Lane is so brilliant schematically in creating space for his skill guys. So you want, when A&M has the ball, for it to be so ear-splittingly loud that they struggle. And I expect that to be the scene.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, guys.